Hi, welcome to Lights, Kaiju, Action, Destroy! We are gathered together here on day 4 of Mondo Comic-Con at home. And we are doing a panel that is a collision of so many of the departments at Mondo because we realized that everybody was, oh, Mikey died. We realized that everybody was working on these things that were kind of like synergistically linked. And they all go back to enormous monsters from Japan. So we decided that we could take this opportunity to share upcoming news about a bunch of stuff that is coming out across 3 departments of Mondo. So I'm Zach. I work in the books department with David Chisholm. And here we have Hector and Mikey from Toys and Collectibles and Spencer from Mondo's music line. So all of these humans are going to be announcing different factions of kaiju items that are going to be made available in the next year and a half from Mondo. And we're going to start by, I guess, letting you guys take up on the Toys and Collectibles side and talk about some things that are coming up.
Cool. Yeah, Eric, if you could pop that up there. Cool. So we talked about a lot of this in our panel on Thursday, but we wanted to kind of recap it for everybody that's monster fans and Godzilla fans.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can jump in and we can actually talk about a little more detail. This is based on the Godzilla 1989 movie with Godzilla versus Biollante. And if you can kind of spot some Easter eggs that we laid out throughout the statue, including one of Biollante's tentacles and the Super X2 over there by Godzilla's feet. This statue is going to be a mixture of vinyl and polystone, and it's going to probably measure around 14 inches tall, just about, and it's going to come out with a bunch of swap out parts. The Mondo exclusive is going to come with the atomic breath, with the swap out vine through the hand, which is a very famous scene in the movie. And with the swap out mouth, which you can have them open mouth or closed mouth. And then the regular is just going to be pretty much what you see up there in the middle. And yeah, we're really stoked about this. This is a really cool piece.
Biollante is just a giant mutated rose, right? Like a rose bush?
Yeah, so, well, she's actually Godzilla's sister, right? For lack of a better explanation. She's made up of the mixture of like Godzilla's DNA mixed with the plant, mixed with kind of the soul of the scientist's daughter, and it turns into this giant rose monster at first, which I love that design, and then she eventually mutates or transforms into this amazing like alligator looking plant monster that is like way bigger than Godzilla. It's one of my favorites, one of my favorite movies.
That the jaw that you said you can swap out, I guess that it's just the bottom jaw then?
Yeah, just the bottom jaw is removable and replaceable, and then one jaw comes with the atomic breath that you can just attach and replace.
Cool.
Yeah. I actually have it here if anyone wants to see. This is the painted prototype. We showed this last time, but it'd be cool to show it right now. You can see how big it is. It's I think the photos don't do it justice, but you could really see.
What's the weight, do you think, Hector?
What's up?
What's the weight on that thing, you think?
When it's all said and done, it'll be pretty heavy. I want to say it's probably going to be close to probably maybe 6 to 10 pounds.
Yeah, they're pretty massive.
It's going to be a polystone, so it's going to be filled with polystone, and parts of it, the base is going to be all polystone, so it'll be pretty heavy.
Are Godzilla's thighs usually that heavy? Like there's like a going on.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part to convey to anyone who's working on Godzilla, especially sculpturally, right. Because that was something that I sat there for almost a month, and Mike can tell you, like, where I was just like, once we got the sculpture back from the sculptor who did an amazing job, I had to sit there and fine tune those thighs to actually make it like look more like like he does in the movies,
right?
Because I think as a sculptor or as an artist, you're going to lean towards like he shouldn't have thighs that big.
Yeah. Well, the point is every angle you turn him, because all of his shapes are so spherical. like every angle you would turn him, it would change something else where we'd be looking at it and you're like,
Yep.
what's off on this, man? It's especially the cheeks in his mouth area was so crazy. And
we sat there and looked at his face for days trying to just, because like Mike said, every time we flip it, it's like, oh man, that doesn't look right now. Move it a little bit, and then it's like, oh, it doesn't look. It was a process. And even when we 3D printed it, and this prototype you see pictured, like once I saw it in person, I was like, oh, I still need to make more adjustments, and I did. I made more subtle adjustments that I think will overall like make it more true to his appearance in that movie.
Yeah, as much as a program like ZBrush shows you what it's going to look like, once you see it 3D printed, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
So cool. Let's show the next one then. We got Mothra.
People really freaked out about this one on Thursday.
Yeah, I know. We've gotten like a lot of comments. I've seen a lot of comments on the Kaiju forums and stuff like that about Mothra, and we're stoked. We're really happy with how this has turned out. This is, again, a prototype. Yeah, it's from Tokyo SOS. That particular movie, she had more realistic features, I want to say, and she was a little more like her like bug-like legs and her like thorax and all that stuff, and mandibles were a little more defined and stuff. So it's a very cool iteration of the character, which I feel like a lot of people just kind of picture in their head. So, and then of course we had to include the little babies in there. It's a scene from the movie where they hatch near this like volcanic or like mountainous area. Yeah, she was a lot of fun to work on. Matt Black sculpted her, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
What are the names of the women who call Mothra forth in the movies and do the little song?
Oh man, you know what? I wish I had a good answer. For me, I've always, as a little kid, just called them the twins.
Because you could do like one scale models of them, and they'd be accurate.
You know what's funny? We have it's not shown here in the picture, but or you could kind of see it, but in the back we have a carving of them into the rock.
Yeah, we can show that. It's show this one.
Oh yeah, right there. You can see. This is a great picture showing scale and how big she is compared to Godzilla. Yeah, we have a little Easter egg that alludes to the twins that summon her.
Is the apple the Mondo exclusive?
Comes with a fresh apple.
Hector, why did you choose this era for both Godzilla and Mothra? Because I feel like this era is kind of a little bit underserved for fans, and it's really good, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I think for with Godzilla, I believe it's the Heisei era. And I'm not sure if Mothra falls into that because she was later. It was like later in the 90s that these movies came out, or maybe early 2000s for her. I don't know off the top of my head. I know for Godzilla, that's the one we grew up with, kind of thing. And I think for me, when I always look back on Godzilla, I always imagine this one. And I feel like maybe a lot of other people do. I'm not sure. There's so many different Godzillas out there. So for us, it was just like we felt like this was kind of like the one that everyone really remembers, and we just went for it. Same with Mothra. I think with Mothra, it's like one of those things where this particular Mothra had such a nice and beautiful design to it that, and it was fleshed out as opposed to being like the puppet and the sculpt of what was used in the movie was really fleshed out, and I think it served as the best interpretation of her.
Hector, talk about that paint job, man. The wings you did are incredible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the wings were a pain in the butt. It took me a long time to do each one because you have to do all sides and two at the same time. But yeah, it took a while, but it was a lot of fun. It was one of those things where I hated it as I was doing it, and I was also scared and intimidated to do it because I've seen so many other. I mean, Godzilla is one of those properties that has amazing statues and sculptures already out there, right? I mean, X Plus does an amazing job with Godzilla, and they're about, for me, the top that you could aspire to reach in terms of like fidelity. And so I was really intimidated doing Mothra because she's those wings were really a challenge to do and to nail the paint. So it was I was scared, but I'm really happy with how they turned out. And I'm really happy.
Right?
What's that?
You have her there with you.
Oh yeah, I do. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, she's pretty big.
They want to do a catwalk turnaround.
And the egg, you guys can see here, have the little larva in them. They look a little darker than they are here. I don't have the best lighting in here. And then the Mondo exclusive comes with this, and then the regular comes with an egg that doesn't have them coming out of it, which is just a play on the scene in the movie.
Eduardo, what's up, man? Sweet. Should we keep moving on that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Little tiki time.
We are super proud to get to make the first official tiki mug Godzilla to ever exist, and we're really trying hard to get it to be something really impressive. Mike and I spent a good amount of time back and forth designing this thing, and like I mean, we started off with just Godzilla, and then we decided to add the waves, and then it just started to come to life, and we're really proud of it, and we're really happy. It comes out in November, same month that the Godzilla statue comes out, and we're gonna do a couple glazes for it. One of them's going to be a really cool blue, and another one's going to be kind of a painted approach to it.
Yeah, 3-color, blue, white, and
Great.
purple.
Yeah.
How big is this mug? It looks like it's going to be bigger than me.
We're going smaller. We're shrinking our mugs down so you can actually have a drink out of them.
Cool.
I have a prototype sitting here right here in front of me. You guys can kind of see the scale of it. It is pretty hefty, but it's not like as big as our T-Rex, for example. But yeah, this is a 3D print of the mug. This was prior to us having to make some changes because in the tiki world, when you're making a mug, you have to take into account the clay and how the molds are going to be prepared and how it's going to pull out of the mold. So we had to eliminate some undercuts, like this mouth being closed here created a huge undercut. So we had to open his mouth slightly just so that it can pull out of the mold. And but other than that, it's pretty much the same as what you're seeing here. We just have scribbled on the back and stuff like that.
Another cool accent, just because of the way tikis are made with the plaster molds and everything, we were struggling to get his tail in there. So it kind of led to us adding the waves, which made it a lot better design, in my opinion. So we could squeeze the tail in and actually get it all going around in a full 360 view. So a lot of that stuff actually comes along slowly as we're designing. This is a fun one. Is it's a weird one.
Yeah, and we have a lot of plans for Godzilla Tiki. I think you can. Is the next slide the concept art?
Yeah.
So we're doing a King Ghidorah Showa era Tiki mug, and this is some concept art for it. And we're really stoked. We're hoping it's gonna be kind of cylindrical with the wings wrapping around it. And I would love to do a gold-plated chrome version of this. For sure. I feel like that's kind of like we have to do that. And we also have plans for like a Hedera tiki mug for the 40th anniversary next year? Is that what that is?
50th.
50th, yeah, that's right. The 50th anniversary. So we have plans for potentially, hopefully being able to do a Hedera mug and then maybe like a Destroy All Monsters mug or something like that. But we're still, trying to figure all that out.
Are you two sculpting these as well, or
Hector's going to take a crack at this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt it. Yeah, I designed it and with Mike's art direction, and we are gonna and we're going to try to do it in house. Yeah, for sure. I think it would be a dream for me to be able to do it. The Godzilla mug was sculpted by Tufan, who
Tufan's an artist in Turkey that sculpts a lot of our stuff, and he's just insanely talented. Like, so fast and so good. So
yeah, and he did a great job on that Godzilla, and we're really happy with him and what he does for us with Tiki mugs. So end of the day, it might go to him, but I would really love to try to take a crack at this.
We have a comment from Chris Mary saying, "Cough, destroy all monsters, Scorpion Bowl."
Chris,
that would be amazing, man.
Yeah, we would love that. I mean, that all of that. It's crazy for us. Like we just have to think of like different ways to approach it. Right, with Tiki, is it going to be a bowl? Is it going to be more of a cylindrical mug? Is it going to be really representative of the character like the Godzilla mug is? Like, there's so many ways to go about it.
Yeah, Tiki's a weird one. The styling's so important and how far to push it.
Oh man, can you even do Scorpion Bowls now? We're in this like weird world. I remember.
Right? Yeah. Do you want to be sharing a punch bowl with somebody right now?
Exactly.
As long as it's the people you're quarantining with.
All right.
Okay.
Just your bubble, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's keep moving.
Non-Toho.
Non-Toho. We are going to be attempting to do some Pogasari inspired vinyl. This is kind of like something that we're still working on, and we're going to, just release at some point.
So give us like the 10-word Pulgasari breakdown.
So what we were trying to do here is make a fun, like more Sofubi inspired Pogasari that was loosely, what can I say? Loosely inspired by the film, and then our other version, which is a bigger one, more detailed, which is kind of like more our like what Pogasari, like our interpretation of them, is going to be like 12 inches tall as opposed to the smaller dude who's going to be like 8 inches or 6 inches. I'm sorry.
Don't you have a prototype of Pogasari you can show us?
I do. This is our little prototype right now. As you can see, he's soft vinyl. You can like bend his arms and stuff. But yeah, this is our prototype here, and we should be getting some painted samples pretty soon.
I know I've already hassled you about this, Hector, but we need some mixed parts.
You need some what?
Mixed parts version.
Oh.
All colors, man. Blanks.
Cool. Up next, Hector, we have your baby right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are super stoked to be able to do soft vinyl with Toho and Godzilla soft vinyl, and this will kind of be, this is going to be our first launch into it next year. And yeah, it was a fun thing that I kind of sculpted over the weekend, and I presented it to everybody, and we all seemed to like it. And then we talked to Toho, and it looked like the stars kind of aligned for us, and we got not only are we going to make stuff like this, but we can make more, just cool stylized Toho or Godzilla vinyl, which is really exciting to me, and I think the rest of the team, to be able to kind of put our own interpretations on some of these things. Kind of like how, the whole inspiration for me was just, I was like, well, I want to make a cute little like chubby Hedorah. I'm like, what is that going to look like? And then I just sculpted it, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
And this came together really quickly, right? From like your initial idea to your sketch to this concept that we're seeing now.
Yeah, I think it was a Friday night. I sat at my computer and I sculpted it in like 3 hours, and then I was just like, this is pretty neat. I don't know if the guys will like it. I'm going to show Mike. And then Mike kind of gave me like, hey, this is cool. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to show someone else. And then I slowly whipped up the courage to share it with the rest of you guys. And then from there, we kind of went like, well, let's see if we can make this. And then
Chris, who's in here, is a lot of the reason we're able to do it too. So Chris has been a huge help getting us to make all this really cool stuff.
Absolutely. Yes, he's awesome. And him and
so cool.
Rui and everyone over at Toho have been amazing to us, and has really made, like, for me as a kid, being a Godzilla fan is like one of my first memories of like being a little kid, right? My first monster movies was Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. So for me to be able to do this stuff and do it with other amazing artists that, you know, make up Mondo, and is a dream come true for real.
I'm already planning to have an entire shelf of these guys in all the different colorways.
Yeah, we're going to try to do a lot of different colors, and these aren't the final colors. These are just renders. These are ideas that, you know, we use to show Toho and other people, but we're, you know, once we get these printed and ready to go, we're going to experiment with a lot of fun colors, and maybe do some transparent ones, do ones that are filled with glitter. Like, I don't know, like
marble,
some marbled ones and stuff like that.
I definitely need some glow in the dark action on this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a glow in the dark would be amazing.
I think it's you have to make the pink one. Like, everybody's gonna want the pink one. You can't.
I think the pink one, no matter what, has to happen.
This is my favorite physical object of the 21st century so far.
It's going to be cool too. It's going to be like about, you know, 6 inches. He's not going to be that big, but he's pretty hefty, right? So he'll be like a fun one to hold. I just can't wait to hold it. Like, you know, it's one of those things that when you see it on the computer and you're working on it, it's one thing to see it, and then it's another thing to have it in your hand. And
right.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about that.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, man, that's so awesome. Spencer, you're up with the big one.
Hey. Oh, there we go. I'm not going to say too much about this because we're still in the process of figuring everything out. But I am insanely excited that we are going to get to play in the Toho sandbox for soundtracks, and we're going to be concentrating on like 85 onwards. But we're not just going to do Godzilla. Like, I really want to do like Rodan, Matango. We're going to go deep. I think we're looking at quite a few titles over the next few years. And I'm going to say it here now, whether I'll make it work or not, the way the year's going, I'm not sure. But I'm really hoping to have 3 titles out this year.
Whoa. So
we've already assigned art, and I'm really, really excited, man. Like, I can't. This is, for me, this is like a dream come true. So I can't say too much more from that.
When I found out, Spence, that this is in the works, it made my year. It really, it's amazing that this is potentially going to be a thing, and it's so cool.
Yeah.
And Spencer, most of these never had a release in the US ever, right?
Yeah, there's been some comps out. So there's been, you know, like there's a ton of, obviously CDs have been around for ages on them. Vinyl's like really, really sparse. There was a comp release last year, which was just like the main themes from the 60s. But no one's really like dived deep outside of Japan. I mean, I own a bunch of Japanese originals of this stuff, but, you know, we're insanely lucky to be talking to Toho about doing this stuff. And you know, those titles from like 75 onwards, for me, I mean, the same as Hector earlier, you know, they're the movies I grew up watching on TV. So yeah, I'm excited, and everyone else should be excited.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome, Spencer.
This is how excited I am. I'm gonna scream with my little Godzilla.
Oh, I love it.
Doesn't show. But yeah. So that for me, that's the big one for the next couple of years anyway. For
It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
yeah.
I can't wait. The music in those in all of those movies is it's so good, and to have it, you know, represented like this is awesome.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those, you know, the late, you know, the 70s up to 90s, that the scores are really good actually, man. Like and they're kind of scores that people don't really talk about that much for some reason, and I think that's because people get so singular about the original Godzilla March that you kind of forget that there's this incredible breadth of music throughout those movies. I mean, you know, some of those movies, the 92 ones, they use like the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra, so they're like these huge orchestral scores, which are really different to like other Godzilla movies.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that the theme song or the actual, like, it changes almost every movie.
Yeah.
I mean, the classic song is used a lot, but there's a lot of movies that just have their own theme that, like, that you can associate with that particular movie, that gives it its own vibe.
Yeah, I mean, every composer that they brought on to produce music kind of use that original march as the jumping off point, but then kind of just ran with it and produced their own stuff. But we are also doing non-Godzilla movies, which is crazy exciting for me.
Yes.
If you can get to release Space Amoeba, then my job here is done. I'll just
Sweet. All right. So we slide into Sofubi talk.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have a guest in backstage that we got to bring out. Carl Ken Smith. We could bring him out.
Here he is.
Ah! Hi. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh man, thanks for being here.
So just a little bit of background. I've known Carl since 2006, maybe. We were both on a message board called Skullbrain. If you're young and you don't know what a message board is, it's kind of pre-Facebook. We were into these kind of weird monster toys. And Carl, you was living in LA then, right? But you were still coming back to the UK quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, but I think we also hit it off over shared music tastes.
Yeah.
And we talked about the shop assistants.
Yes.
And the fact that you used to be a goth, you may still be a goth, I sense it in you. And that you used to skateboard in the 80s. And I did all those things too, and I like the shop assistants, and I was a bit of a goth. So, and now we like soft vinyl toys together. So after we had sex, we decided that we were really good for each other, right? Oh, no, that was someone else. Sorry, man.
So I can't put it as eloquently as that. So I've known Carl quite, obviously since 2006. We remain friends. Whenever I'm in LA, I try and see him. Although that can be difficult because he works like 20 hours a day. But Carl is Carl is also one of the biggest Sofubi collectors, I would say, in the world. His collection is insane. It's been used by galleries. It's been used at pop-ups. It's unrivaled in its breadth, and there isn't anything that Carl doesn't know, basically, about.
Definitely untrue. There's lots of things I don't know. And also Spencer's bigging me up because I only started collecting last year. So, and he got me into it. This is like a Zoom backdrop. Oh, not on Zoom, but anyway, yeah. I've been collecting for a few years. I definitely wouldn't say I know everything, and I definitely don't have the best collection and all that stuff because who knows what everyone's got? They keep it secret. I keep lots of my stuff secret, but yeah, I'm into this to the point of extreme debt and inability to afford meals towards the end of the month. Woohoo! There we go. Quick spin around. Woo. Yeah, it's a big part of my life. I'd be lost without it, I would say.
And the reason we have what is the reason we have Carl here for, Mikey?
we got a big announcement that we'll slide into, but since we're having Sofubi talk, let's talk a little about Sofubi, I guess. So Sofubi started in Japan as soft vinyl. It's basically a Japanese style of soft vinyl toys that, if I'm not wrong, was it the 50s that they started this whole?
Yeah, there you go. It's I just remember Kaiju. Soft vinyl was before, but Kaiju kind of came along a little bit later with the nostalgia for the original Godzilla movies and all that stuff.
Yeah, so this is it's like a really cool scene that's so, like, as you can see in Carl's background, there's so much out there that so many people don't get to see. So we're trying to figure out a way to highlight that and kind of share it with just fans of art, fans of toys. I think Mondo fans also will just get a kick out of this because it really is bringing art to toys. And some of these like Carl, you have so many pieces that are just one of a kind, right? But
yeah, I mean, it's an interesting fact about this hobby that a lot of the stuff is made in like super limited editions, and originally that's not for just the sake of scarcity marketing. It's just these guys have a certain, craft associated with it. It's not something that can be mass produced. So although it has a mold and it can be made, the paints are difficult to produce, difficult to apply. And it's one guy often who's doing all this. He's sculpting it. He's working with a factory. And when we say a factory, it might be two men, working in a Japanese vinyl factory, producing these toys. And then he's painting it himself, probably got a day job. So they become limited editions by necessity.
Even the chemicals involved in these things, that it's just wild. And just holding them in your hand, you get to feel how special. Like Japanese vinyl is just.
Well, apparently, if you walk into my house, you get to smell how special it is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I opened my cabinet earlier to take a few toys out, and the smell from it was amazing. I stood there for like 5 minutes just inhaling.
I have a question. I'm the opposite of Carl, where I know less about Sofubi than anyone in the world. But if they started in the 50s, it seems like there was like a huge renaissance of them again, like in 10 years ago or something. Is that accurate? Or there was a more like punk version of the Sofubi toys that kind of seemed to.
Yeah, I'd say you're totally right, and I think a lot of that. People may disagree. I've got to be careful what I say because everyone has a different opinion on this, and people are pretty opinionated. But Skullbrain, which Spencer mentioned earlier, that was really responsible for a big resurgence in the USA, and there were already people in Japan and who were collecting that stuff. But I'd say there was a big push from this side of the house, coming outwards and spreading out from the USA and making people even in Japan maybe more aware of some of the stuff they hadn't seen. And now it's crazy. It's like there's so many people all over the world who are collecting this stuff from all corners of the earth, and the big collectors right now are in China and Hong Kong. These guys are voracious for it.
Yeah, I mean the Skullbrain forum that is still active today. You can go and join if you so wish. Was really responsible for me for finding out about these toys, and meeting people like Carl, one of my closest friends in the UK, Josh Sacco, who runs Cigarette Burns. And the weird thing about this scene is it's really kind of influenced by music as well. A lot of the people making it are like ex-punks, like hardcore kids, people who are consuming it, like me and Carl. That's how we connected first, because all our music tastes, like as Carl said, we hit the same beats. Same with Josh, like he's an old punk hardcore guy. You have people, like Pusshead, who did all the Septic Death and Metallica covers, making toys. You have Balzac, who are basically the Japanese misfits. They are making their own series of toys as well, which Mike is holding one up now. And I think they're the first Sofubi toys that Mikey bought, got into. And I think the reason that we want to highlight this for people is because I'm just a fan of this stuff. I don't know, I'm not super knowledgeable on it. I've been buying it for 15 years or whatever. I'm just I really dig it as an old kind of, growing up as a monster kid. These are the perfect toys, man. Like they are like my childhood distilled into just this piece of beautiful vinyl that are often hand painted. As Carl said, they can be runs of 4 or 5, and they're weird and cool, man. I've got some like, you know, like look at this guy, and you know, this is a one-off hand painted from the first Squirt show. I mean, they're just cool, man, and I just think that like our like Mondo fans would be into this stuff, and it's just exposing people to them. One of the questions Connor asked, are they usually properties or is it predominantly original designs? Most of these things are original designs, although, say, this skull head butt figure is inspired by the 1950s Hammer movie, Night of the Demon. Then you've got another, I mean, Skullhead Butt, who are like, I collect a huge amount by. They are definitely influenced by monsters, although they are not licensed. So generally, it's just people coming up with these ideas, but like the makers, the creators.
I think it's kind of a good segue into, we put together some slides of just some of our favorite toy makers out there. We'll kind of just give you guys an example of like the breadth of what this covers, like how crazy the designs are, from clean to just crazy detailed monsters. So Super 7 and Secret Base here, Spencer, you want to talk to the fight figures?
I mean, Carl, I'm not sure what the first figures you would have.
So the first Secret Base was huge for me.
Yeah.
And there's an interest. If we get a chance later, I don't know how long this is actually, guys, but I'll tell you some reasons why it kind of came from an English childhood toy in the 1970s, which led me to Secret Base 20, 30 years later. It's weird, but what we're looking at here is a bunch of fight figures. These are all produced by, well, actually, we've got a mixture here. Now I'm looking at the slides. We've got Secret Base and we've got Gargamel. And on the very far left of your screen, you're seeing a music crossover, Gargamel's collaboration with Shane Embry from Napalm Death, the Gargadeath figure. That's a pretty sick one. A later release in glow-in-the-dark vinyl. You got the Skullbrain, which is what skullbrain.org was named after. I think that's from the Secretor set. I think that might be the famous employee brain, which was given out to employees at Secret Base. It was super hard to get if you wanted to complete your set. There's the Astro Brain next to him on the right, the famous Skull Bee. And then we've got Gargamesses who are wearing wrestling belts, because a lot of this is, well, wrestling probably isn't the right word, but that's what I would describe it. But, you know, fight figures are about, you know, Shuto. I'm not so up on the fight part. I'm up on the figure part. But Gargamel made a wrestling ring for these guys at one point, you know, and Secret Base made a full-scale one, so you could put your figures inside the wrestling ring.
I would say that the majority of American collectors came to Sofubi through fight figures.
I first saw it from Super 7 visiting San Francisco.
And for reference, these guys are, you know, like 3 inches. They're like, you know, I mean, they're just super cool, man. Those little boxing gloves.
What's interesting now about the new collectors, though, is they're not coming in through that. Spence, we all did, but the new collectors, in fact, this fight figures aren't hype. I mean, the scene gets its levels of hype. You know, stuff comes in waves, and I've seen it, you know, go up and down. But these guys just don't get the attention they deserve. And we got a beautiful photograph here. Am I allowed to say who the photo's by?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. This is by Robert, and it's like, he should be. I wish I was seeing him in this, but he's contributed these photos, and he's really into fight figures, and I think he might be single-handedly bringing about a resurgence of fight figures, which would be pretty cool if it happened.
Yeah, I mean, Robert is actually going to be taking all the photos.
Yeah.
For the book, he's going to be taking all the pictures of the toys for us. He should be in this chat. I haven't seen him pop up yet.
I think he's in the chat. We have a lot of really cool examples of Robert's photography, and
yeah,
colors he captures are just insane.
let's have a look at some of the other
Really quick.
other toys, man.
While we're going, were the Japanese toys muscle things, like kind of a offshoot or like an answer to Sofubi? Like those little pink toys?
The Keshi style muscles? Yeah. I don't really know the history of when those popped up in Japan.
I have no idea either. I just see Super 7 have been doing them, and it seems more maybe the people who were kids in the 80s dig those, and I was
my favorite toys growing up. Those and Mad Balls were.
Yeah.
We're seeing some classic RealxHead on screen here now.
Yeah, this is Spencer's collection.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was this guy is the guy that Mikey desperately wants off me.
Yeah, he's sending me that.
Never gonna get it. I was in Japan 5 years ago and just stumbled on the store and picked those up. Really pretty reasonably priced, but these things are really difficult to get outside of Japan. I love these guys because they for some reason to me they totally remind me of like guys that would be in those Italian Mad Max ripoffs in the 80s.
I love the one all the way to the left. That one's such a cool paint job on that, and the sculpt is really good.
Yeah, and these are like glow in the dark. They glow like they're radioactive, man. They're pretty cool.
And the one on the far left is. Oh, sorry, Mikey, you go.
I'm just wondering how often are they putting figures out with RealxHead? They're real hard to get.
Every freaking week. Every freaking week, if you go to the store in Japan, like you guys, I went last 6 years ago. Well, I say last. That's the only time I've been to the store. And I got a bunch there. Morrison, who runs RealxHead and designs all the toys, he's there, was super cool. But now, due to the monetary markup on these guys, it's just insane. We've seen it at Decon, right, in LA? Yeah. The lines for RealxHead stuff, the lines that we had when they did the Game of Hope over in Eagle Rock last November, around Decon time. And last thing I'm going to say, the one on the far left there is actually a collaboration with the O'Neill guys here in the US. That's the head, if I remember rightly, which is interesting that that's up there because RealxHead does a lot of collabs with people. Even Paul Kaiju, Mutant Vinyl Hardcore, the American leads in the scene. Hopefully one day we'll see a split head. That'd be cool.
Sweet, let's slide into still headbutt stuff, more of what Spencer was showing earlier.
Oh, yeah, even one.
Yeah, I love these guys just because they're kind of like classic monster toys, right? I mean, they're really simple. They're pretty much ripped off from 1950s movies. You see this guy's like based on the Alien, and I for some reason I fell in love with these guys when I first saw them, and now I've got far too many shelves full of them. But I just think these are toys that we love them as people that work at Mondo. We're fans of this stuff, and I just feel like people that dig Mondo and love what we do would also like this stuff.
For sure.
Is that center one Invasion of the Saucer Men?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, and I think a cool thing too that kind of relates to Mondo is that these are so artist driven, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
These are people that are they're true artists and they're trying to make something really cool and unique. And as you can even see it in all the designs, like they're all very unique, and I think that blends well with what Mondo is about.
Yeah. Cool. Let's slide into the next one. These guys are hugely influential. Bounty Hunter.
All other toys suck. 100% Bounty Hunter. These are super cool because it's funny. God, I hope no one slaps my wrist for this afterwards, but Bounty Hunter made a lot of their early toys in China, which was kind of weird for me because I'm really about Japanese vinyl, though I've become a bit less precious about that. But these guys on the left here, the Skull Coons, these are the newer versions made in Japan, and I just love what they've done, reimagining that figure made in Japanese vinyl. Super awesome.
Yeah.
One of the questions in the comments is, what is your feeling on Chinese Sofubi soft vinyl?
Oh, interesting. Oh, it's from Klim too.
From Klim.
It's
Klim.
It's China Ofubi too, which I like. I don't know what Ofubi is, but I'll go with it. I was super bummed out about the fact I couldn't even call it Sofubi for a while. But some people have made it much, much better, and some of the people who are most against it are now for it. I think in the end it comes down to the design, right? I can still tell Japanese vinyl though from Chinese. If you do a taste test with me, I'm going to be able to tell you even without tasting the vinyl. But I do need my eyes open to see that.
We have a announce that's coming up, so we probably have to move through some of these more quickly than we might.
One thing real quick to point out is just how, so Robert took the photo of the two on the left, and I grabbed the other two off the internet. It just shows how much Robert is able to capture just every little nuance of these figures, just the gloss, the color. He's a really incredible photographer.
Yeah, he really captures the personality of the figures, man.
Yeah.
Like, they just look really dynamic.
I think all these are Robert photos. You can really see the difference of what he does.
I mean, when you look at this, the headlock toys, there is nobody that could not love these toys, man. Like, they're instantly recognizable from, what has inspired these guys, but they are so filled with personality, and they're cute, man.
Yeah, they certainly are, and this is a perfect example where the kind of country of manufacture surpasses expectations, because these are designed, I guess, by Knuckle in Japan and sculpted by him, as far as I know. Comment if I got that slightly wrong, but they're manufactured in China, but the manufacturing quality is super high and they look amazing.
Yeah, the first headlock figure that I got, I couldn't believe that it was stamped made in China, and they interestingly, they have a look that's all their own. It's almost like they've been polished before they leave the factory. They look amazing. They feel amazing. Yeah, I love these guys. They're so cool, man.
Cool. We got one Japanese maker to slide. I think we'll try to move quicker. Punk Drunkers, Nave Tokyo, and Skull Toys.
See, this is interesting because this is where, because these are small manufacturers and people who are not working from home but working from a very small office, they all collaborate. They all swap bodies, swap heads. Punk Drunkers do tons of stuff for Nave. They've got an anniversary figure coming out next month, which is lottery only. And you can see like the bodies, they use the same bodies and stuff. They're like super cool, man.
And interesting fact for you guys, the first ever Skull Toys release was originally premiered. I laugh. There was a toy show in Japan at the weekend it came out, but there was also a showcase of Henshin Cyborg toys at Meltdown Comics on Sunset Boulevard here. And Takeshi from Skull Toys sent me his first toy, and I showed it in there. And then weirdly, Lupe Fiasco was hanging out all day.
Wow.
I'm not quite sure why. And I gave him a couple of toys, and there's a picture of him in Dazed and Confused magazine holding up Takeshi's first toy in there.
That's cool, man.
So, but it had a doll stand on it. I had to stand it up, and he left the doll stand on. Not cool. But apart from that, it was really cool.
Eric Garza just pointed out that figure is definitely wearing a Power Glove from Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah.
Actually, guys, he rushes up, but there's a whole line of them up here on my shelf wearing Power Gloves.
Oh, wow.
Actually, they're kind of a bit covered up, but he's done a bunch of them, and there's a new one coming out soon. So it's I'm excited about that. Love Skull Toys. Nave are rad, and Punk Drunkers, I love the toys. I just can't get them.
Yeah. Well, Carl, we all hung out on Black Friday to try to get one of the Punk Drunkers releases.
Don't remind me.
Let's move on.
Next one. We're moving into American, kind of the influence that these toys had on American toy makers and designers. So couple of the biggest we'll start with are Retro Band and Mutant Vinyl Hardcore, who are just, their sculpts are incredible. Yeah.
I mean, Rich from Mutant Vinyl Hardcore is possibly one of the best sculptors working today. And, you know, he's again, he was on Skullbrain for years and years. His figures are incredibly hard to get, man.
Yeah.
You know, he's always torn with if he's going to do a lottery. And that's the other thing about this world. A lot of the figures are sold via lottery, so it makes it doubly hard to get them. But yeah, his sculpts are absolutely insane. And his vinyl is produced in Japan, but he's just started working, doing some smaller figures and larger runs with Unbox, who produce in China. So he has his fingers in all the pies right now. Yeah, that's so cool.
What year is that from?
Maybe about 2012 or so.
Cool.
It's a one-off that I think is pretty amazing. Look, yeah, it's exciting, and I've got one more for you on your next slide, I think. So,
perfect. Let's get into it. So talking about Unbox, these are their figures on the left, and they do a lot of stuff with Retro Band and also Paul Kaiju, I believe, too. So Unbox does incredible work.
I think Unbox have pushed. Obviously, they produce in China, and they have helped. Sort of for a long time, people have said, you know, Sofubi has to be Japanese. It can only be Japanese. Chinese vinyl is not good. But I think Unbox have totally turned that around, man. The quality of their stuff is like incredible. And I know Dan's like a real stickler for getting things right.
Dan's unbelievable. Yeah, the stuff they make is great.
And also the choices of the stuff they make. I actually purchased an Unbox toy today.
Lord of Light?
Yeah, I had to get that.
I got it also.
I'm just holding up a Paul Kaiju toy here. The majority of Paul's stuff is made in Japan, just his Unbox collaboration is made in China. But Paul started producing stuff. He's been making amazing stuff for a long time. And then he started producing vinyl. And I think his first release was at San Diego Comic-Con in 2010. And this weekend would have been Summer Slime along with John Rampage and Buona Spoons. So there's a virtual version happening, I guess, later today, which is pretty cool. But new Paul through Skullbrain, just like we knew Rich. Both of them are super success stories in the US. Got to say that.
Cool. One of my favorites in the world is these Devil's Kaiju stuff. The Aleister Crowley figures are just, they're so fun to collect, and the stuff that he's doing, the color choices are just ridiculous. Yeah,
the Aleister Crowley, the little dogs are great, man. Again, they're like full of personality, you know.
I was lucky. I actually won the lottery for these guys for the. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I won because these things are freaking amazing.
And David, who is the Devil's Kaiju, I'm sorry, I'm going to burst everyone's bubble. The nicest guy you could ever meet. Super nice guy. And his recent collaboration with Coma Mikey to do the Baptized in Blood set. Super, super evil, made by super nice guys. I don't get it. How did they do it?
Then we got Splurt up here too, which you showed some stuff earlier, but his stuff's incredible. I've never gotten to be able to get a Splurt toy, so.
Yeah, Joe's a sick man when it comes to toy. I'm gonna run around.
Yeah.
running. Here's a bit of Splurt. There's some guys like Spence showed earlier. Look, it looks neat. I have a little mini camo Splurt collection, like a lot of his sculpts there in camo. Probably can't see this, probably too dark, but there you go, sorry.
Too dark.
Okay, this is my favorite by Splurt. I am the number 16 collector in the entire world of these guys. This is You Sir, It's a cute version of Baphomet. I mean, how cool is that? It makes me feeling good about being evil, because I'm not evil, but I could be if I have this toy. I'm now.
Morning.
Then
Zach's going to tell us off because we're coming up to the hour. But
let me get quick. We got a actual.
I'm telling you right now, we're going to run over a little bit, Zach. I'm really sorry.
We'll go quick, Zach. We have a toy announcement. So Suman at Rocom Toys makes incredible figures. He's based out of Orange County, California. But he's done Death Jaguar, which you see on the left, Henry and Glenn, based on Tom Neely's amazing comic books. And then he released this Alex Pardee figure called Future Me, which is just awesome. And Suman, I think, takes the title for one of the nicest guys I've ever met. So let's slide into what we wanted to release, which is we have a Mondo exclusive colorway of Alex Pardee's Future Me, which is based off of Mossman and is glow in the dark for you, Spencer.
Nice.
So
always a bonus. When would this be available?
I think Suman's here. It should be coming soon. He's already got the regular editions coming out to people, I think.
Cool. But, my other question would be, if this is your first kind of distributed toy that someone else has made, but we're having an exclusive colorway for Mondo, are you doing more of this?
Yes. We have talked very much with Unbox, who they shared some of their release schedule for the year, and they have some of the coolest stuff coming out. Like that Lord of Light figure we talked about is based off Jack Kirby's stuff that they showed in Argo. And but so we're hoping to do a Lord of Light colorway, some Junjo Ito stuff, Junji Ito, and a few others. So we're hoping to distribute more and do colorways and kind of highlight, again, like what we want to do with, we haven't really announced it, but what we're talking about all this for, we want to bring attention to some of these amazing artists and share it with all the people out there. So I think that'll lead us into our announcement of why we've been talking about all this. Well, first we got to talk about the collaborators, which we've talked about, which is Robert and Carl. This is a YouTube video. I just kind of wanted to let everyone realize the there's like I think it's about 15 minutes, Carl, but you give an incredible interview about your collection on YouTube, and it just shows how deep your collection is.
When was that?
It was midway last summer, actually. Yeah, last summer, and I noticed that picture makes me look incredibly fat, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Nice.
I'll go into Robert's photography. I really can't speak highly enough about Robert. He's also just such a cool dude. In this world, it's kind of cool. Just like the people that you meet are just, you share such a common interest, and everyone's just so nice and cool and passionate about some weird, awesome toys. You just meet really nice people.
And Robert again is a member on Skullbrain and deep into punk and hardcore music scene. And we both really love his photography.
Yeah.
As we said, he really captures the essence of these toys. And, for me, this is what gets me excited about them, is just, he manages to capture just how cool they are.
Yeah. I try to take photos of my stuff, and it doesn't show you nothing. You can't see any of especially those Aleister Crowleys. They're really hard to capture all that detail, which is the middle photo. Yeah,
so I think having Robert on board taking shots of these things, we just push the book over the edge.
He's a true artist with this. It's great. Yeah. Let's show a few more examples of his involved.
And I think that Robert's photos come out really well because he's super excited about the subject matter. I mean, he's into this.
He's up there with you, Carl, where you guys have such an infinite knowledge on. It's an obscure, niche collectible thing, but you guys have such knowledge on it. It's great. So working with you guys is friggin'.
Yeah, I have knowledge on the newer stuff like we're showing here, but the historical one's not so good. It's interesting. The first time I met Robert, he spent the night at my house along with the Lulabelle crew. So it was pretty cool. It reminded me of when people are touring in a band, they were here for a show and they stayed over. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, Robert's favorites there. We've got the Obake dog made by Secret Base on the left. Amazing.
Is that your Baphomet, Carl?
This is the full-size version that Splurt released a little bit later, based on the mini, and now they also have like the skull, the version he did ahead for Mutant Vinyl Hardcore 2, which is even more evil. And at the right there is a Target Earth toy, which is I think that's actually a reproduction of an original vintage Kaiju toy, or reimagined by Target Earth. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Pretty cool. Love the colors.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll slide through some of. So Robert also was like, kind of just asked if we had any photos of real world stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I have those too, and they're friggin' gorgeous also." So
the coffee bean background is hilarious.
Yeah, and then another Aleister Crowley, and this one's just amazing.
Oh my God, Sakura Blossom Cinema Monster.
So people that are able to read might have noticed that there was an announcement kind of not so hidden in there.
Yeah.
Two slides, which takes us to the next thing.
You can see we prepared well.
So look at this. Mondo Books is going to be releasing a book by all of these humans that you've been listening to, and Robert. And I'll let you guys talk about it, but this is going to be like the release that we're maybe most excited about for next year.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Spencer, we talked a little earlier, but I think you and I, when you were staying at my house for Designer Con around Thanksgiving, just talked about how much cool stuff we saw at Designer Con that people don't realize is out there, and kind of led to the impetus of this idea of sharing it with people. All this cool stuff that's out there.
I think, I think with anything like this is if you're a fan, you want to share, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are incredibly lucky to be in the position of being creative directors at Mondo, where we can share something like this, which is a total just passion of mine and yours, and the rest of the crew. So we're like really, really lucky that we're able to do this, and hopefully sort of bring this world a bit closer aligned with what you guys are doing in the collectibles over at Mondo, especially now you try to make soft vinyl yourselves, So I think it's just a really cool way to play everything in, and I'm just excited to share like my love of these toys. I
spend most of my time looking on Instagram at these toys, so
yeah,
I'll work on it if we're going to be doing all my time on it. Also,
I want to mention that Mikey threw together that cover, which is like one of the best cover designs I've seen in a book in years. So
thanks, man.
Actual cover should be the actual cover,
not actual cover. Yeah. Thank you.
But awesome. You guys told me it would be a candid shot of me lying naked in a bath full of soft vinyl toys.
That's our next slide. Get to the next
Hang
on. Carl's out.
You lied.
I mean, the reason we want to make this book, and we took it to Zach and Chisholm, who's in the chat as well. He didn't want to be talking with us idiots. And we took it to them thinking, I wonder if they go for this, and Darby as well, at Mondo, and everyone was like, this is really cool. So, and everyone really pulled together to sort of let us pitch to make this insanity that we're going to do next year. One of the really exciting things, sorry, Hector, one of the really exciting things is, hopefully the world will be back to having events next year, and we definitely want to launch at Designer Con, and we definitely want to have some super cool limited edition toys from the makers that we are highlighting in the books.
I think that's a great segue to what I was going to say, which is a lot of people aren't. We're hoping to expose more people to this, like you guys have been saying, and Designer Con has so many amazing artists.
Yeah.
That it just hasn't, they haven't broken through. But I think that something like this would be a great thing to bring those artists a little more exposure as well.
Yeah, for sure. You can also talk to Zach about the Maniac edition.
Yeah, I was about to say, speaking of like limited edition tie-ins, the book itself is going to have a separate exclusive version that you can only get, at conventions or maybe on mondoshop.com. And the idea, I guess I'm just going to give it away, but the idea is that there's a limited edition fancy hardcover where the actual hardcover, boards, like the front and back of the book, is a vinyl figure monster, and the book itself is a Sofubi. So that's what we're going to try to make happen if the printers won't revolt and kill us.
We'll make it happen.
Someone's asking what are some good Sofubi Instagrams to follow. When we finish this live feed, I will throw up 6 or 7 like killer Instagram folks that you should follow. I'll put it in the description.
If you take a tour of Robert's Instagram, which is Manic Images, I believe, if you take a tour through his, he tags everybody. He's got just photos of all the cool stuff out there.
Joshua Medina saying, I cannot go down another rabbit hole. Well, I'm afraid it's too late for that. So.
Yeah, if you watch this, you're in the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Matt Hardiman, who's in the chats, and Spencer are like the worst influence on me. Every Saturday morning, I'm spending money because of those guys, including today.
Yeah, it's
today.
It's a terrible affliction. But I mean, the main thing is we're just so passionate about this stuff that we just want to say to you guys, come and check this out, and hopefully you'll follow us for the ride.
Yeah.
So, well, I believe that's the end of our official presentation. But Spencer, you're going to talk about. I mean, you're going to give people some of these resources for the.
Yeah, I'll drop a ton of links into the description once the live feed is finished and it goes to pre-recorded. And also, if you like this chat, we have another chat coming up in an hour, I do believe, called the Art Soundtracks panel, which will be 2 hours. I don't know what day it is, what time it is.
What time is it right now, Spencer? Is it like 2 in the morning?
It's 11 p.m. right now here in the UK. So I'm in the UK, Carl's in LA, Mike is in LA, Hector's in LA, Zach's in Austin. So yeah, we have an Art Soundtracks panel, which is myself and Mo from the soundtrack team, and we have TerraVision, Enjoy the Ride, Invada, Milan. We have a ton of record labels joining us. We're going to drop a ton of reveals. It should be fun. If you've enjoyed this chat, then please smash the like button, subscribe.
So 7 p.m. Central Time is the soundtracks panel for everybody. So thank you guys for doing this, for making the world less shitty.
Bye everyone.
Destroy!
Thank you.